Hey, Kevin here, Mr. DIY Dork from DIYDork.com. Today I want to do something really cool and a little different than my normal videos. I want to do something that I'm calling the Ugly Challenge. And I've been thinking about this for a while, how to pull it off, and today I just decided to just jump into it and try it out. So what I'm going to do is try to find something either for free or really cheap, like less than $5, maybe less than $10 if it's something awesome. And today's thing happens to be free. And basically just get the ugliest thing I can possibly find and then turn it into something really cool. So anyway, check this out. I really hope it turns out, but I think you'll like it no matter what. So check this out. All right, so you ready to see what I got? Check this out. Da, 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 da. It's a really ugly table grandma lamp, and it's busted here. You know, the post doesn't hold it up very well, and it's just, you know, the brass hardware. It's got the gold cord. It's held together with really cheap hardware, so it wobbles. And I'm really hoping it's real wood. I don't even know if it is. It kind of doesn't look like it is, but it might be. And if it is, it's, you know, a really cool added bonus. So anyway, I'm gonna turn this into something really cool. I have an idea for it. So just check this out, see what I make out of it. All right, so I took all of the Allen bolts that were in it, and I'm getting ready to take it apart. So I thought I'd see how nicely this thing was put together without those. So let's see what happens here. Ooh, nice. Okay, so I'm gonna take it outside, and we're gonna cut it apart and turn it into something really cool. All right, so I brought all my stuff outside, and I have all the pieces I think I can use. So of course I got the top, which I have about 16 inches this way I can use before I get to the hole. And then it's 13 wide, but I'll probably chop it in about half, so probably about 6 or 7 inches, and use a rectangle for the idea I have. Now I also have the side supports here, and then the stakes that were for the little sort of basket thing at the bottom, and I have a really cool idea for those. So let me chop it up, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So I cut my tabletop down into a 7-inch by 16-inch wide piece, and I even took the little wood brackets off the table and chopped them down into trim. And you can see I did my little fan overlap design where it's flush on one edge and then it overlaps the trim on the other and does it all the way around. So it's a really simple way to get a cool modern look and avoid having to do miter cuts. So what I'm going to do is sand all these down, and then I even have these little pieces here. So what I'm going to do is chop these down into various lengths. I'm going to chop the nubs off, and I'm going to use them as a detail across here. So I'll show you what that looks like next. Right, so I'm just about done sanding, and I was right. The trim pieces and the little short pieces there were real wood. The base wasn't, however. It looked like it's maybe MDF with an oak veneer on it. So I could stain them if I want, but what I'm going to do is once I finish the last couple here, I'm going to paint them. So that's what we're going to do next. Right, so all the small little pieces are chopped down and sanded smooth. I'm actually going to paint them with these 5 different blues and greens and teal colors here. And I don't know if I'll do them all random or in order or what, but I'll have them all painted. Then the trim, I'm gonna go ahead and do a really light stain and then wax it so it just kind of has a vintage look to it. And then for the base, I'm painting it with white, and this is some leftover paint from when we were doing our house. And this stuff must be old or something, because now it kind of smells like a Johnny on the spot after an onion eating contest. It's bad. Alright, so I got all the pieces painted and they turned out really, really cool. And I also have the trim boards stained, and I have all the pieces waxed except for this last one right here I got to finish. And once it's dry, I can move on and start assembling it. But I wanted to show you something real quick with the backer board here. If you can see the height here, I found the center and I drew a really faint pencil line across there. And I found center of the length, and then I also found 2 marks that are evenly spaced from the edges. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually going to turn this into a coat rack. So I got these hooks, and I wanted to evenly space them. So they'll be something like that. Plus it'll be trimmed out, and I gotta have those on there first. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna fire up my air compressor, and I'll show you how I put all these on there and assemble the trim, and then I'll show you a really cool trick to hide the fastener system for this to hook it up to a wall. So I'll show all that to you next. All right, so attaching the color blocks is pretty simple. I kind of pre-laid out my design up here loosely so that when I put them on the board, I kind of know what the pattern's gonna look like. So let's make sure to line up the first one to the edge so that the others are straight. And all I'm doing is taking an 18 gauge air brad nailer, and I'm just nailing them about 1 inch down from the edge so that they don't split. My first one, actually, I was a little too close and it split, so I'm gonna have to fix that with paint. So all the others, making sure that the nail holes are low enough that it won't do anything. So I'll just put all these across, and then I'll work on the trim, and the trim is gonna use a little bit longer nails, so I'll show you that to you next. All right, so all the color pieces are nailed on now, and I forgot to mention earlier, but they are only 1/4 inch thick and the backer board is 3/4 inch thick, so together that's 1 inch. So I only used 3/4 inch long brad nails to hold them on. It worked really well, and they didn't shoot through the back or anything. But for the trim, it's 3/4 inch thick, and I want to, attach it to here, so I'm using a little bit longer 1.5 inch nails for that. So all I'm going to do is line them up, and I'm just placing on this board so it has something flat. And I'm just going to line them up till they fit really well, and then I'm going to take my nail gun and just shoot a few nails, hold it together, and I'll show you what it all looks like finished. All right, the trim's on, so the last thing to do is to attach the hooks. So what I actually did, you probably can't quite see it, but I measured again the height, and I found the very center, and I put a little dot, and then I actually centered the little octopus looking hook thing here right on there, and I took a pencil and I marked the 2 holes so that I have 2 little dots. Then what I can do is pre-drill to fit these screws so that these boards don't crack whenever we hook them on. And then what I'm also going to do is over on the 2 sides, this one and then the one over on the other side, I'm going to pre-drill those holes also. The bottom hole is going to have a screw. The top hole, I'm actually going to drill all the way through the back of this whole piece, and then what we can do is attach a long screw, and that's what will attach it to the wall. So once I do all that, I'll show you how it hooks to the wall. All right, so the center hook is mounted, and on the left I have the bottom here, and then I have the hole that I drilled through and actually made a little bigger than just the tiny pilot hole. And then over here on the right, you can kind of see it looks like the little octopus has a funny little eye, but what that is a bigger screw. It's longer, that'll stick through, go all the way through your drywall, and you can hit a stud, or you can just use like a little anchor in the drywall to hang it. So I'll put the other one in, I'll put it up on the wall, and I'll show you what it looks like finished. All right, and check it out. Here it is all finished and up on the wall. Looks really cool. And by using the bigger screws on the 2 ends here, it makes the fastener system hidden, so you almost can't even tell how it's attached to the wall. And then the framing, I think, looks really cool. Kind of gives it a little bit of a vintage, modern look. And then one thing I hadn't really even thought about till it was up here, but it's kind of cool, is because I painted the board, the backer board, the same color as the paint I used on our walls when we redid our house, it disappears and it almost looks like this thing is floating up there. So that's actually a pretty cool look too. So it might be something to consider, even if you have, red walls or whatever. If your backer board's the same color, it almost looks like it's floating. So anyway, turned out really cool, really simple project, and you would never think that this coat rack was made from an old grandma table lamp.